The house smelled like nutmeg and butter and something older, like memory, if memory had a scent. I had been in the kitchen since just after sunrise, chopping onions with cold hands and peeling apples one by one. The turkey was in the oven by 10 in the morning. By noon, the stuffing was cooling on the counter and the apple pie was resting on the windowsill, the way Grandma used to do back when the house still felt full. It was Christmas Day, and I was trying again to make it feel like it used to. My name is Andrea. I am 28, a UX designer at a studio in Portland called Green Willow, but I have been back in Salem for 3 years now, moved home when my mom was about to lose the house. It was supposed to be temporary. Funny how temporary turns into invisible when you are living with someone who forgets you pay the bills. Mom, Catherine, is in her 60s. She has not worked since the bookstore closed in 2019, and she has not said thank you since around then either. Still, I cooked. I cleaned. I decorated the table with the old green napkins and the chipped ceramic snowman we always put out, even though one arm is broken. I wanted it to feel like Christmas, not because I believed in miracles anymore, but because I believed in trying. My sister Emily arrived an hour late with wet hair and no apology. She is 24, still lives here too. Kind of. Comes and goes. Mom appeared around 4, dressed in her blue sweater with the pearl buttons, phone in hand, scrolling through someone else's life. No one said much while we ate. The only sound was the fork scraping her plate and the occasional clink of ice against glass. I poured the wine. I offered second helpings. I lit the candles. I kept waiting for the moment where something would feel warm, like family. And then, just as she was slicing into the turkey, hand still on the knife, my mother looked up and said, "Andrea, you need to move out." She said it like she was commenting on the weather, like it was not Christmas, like I had not just basted her bird and vacuumed the rugs and paid her mortgage again this month. I did not answer right away. I think I blinked twice. Emily glanced at me, her fork pausing mid-air, and for a second, I thought maybe I had misheard. But no, my mother did not repeat herself. She did not need to. She just looked down again, took another bite, and kept chewing. Like that was that. And maybe it was. But here is the part I still do not understand even now. Why say it then? Why say it that way? What had I done that made my presence less welcome than silence? I did not say anything. Not then. Instead, I set my fork down slowly, the way you do when something inside you stops moving, but you are not sure what yet. I looked at the table I had set, the turkey I had roasted, the pie cooling behind us, the quilted placemats my grandmother made. All of it felt suddenly out of place, like decorations for a party I was no longer invited to. Mom did not look up. Again. She chewed. She reached for her wine. She tapped her thumb against her phone, lighting it up to check a message that could not have been more important than what she had just done. Emily cleared her throat. Quiet. She always hated being the middle. She started, then gave up and went back to cutting her food. I finally spoke, voice low but steady. "Really?" I said. "You need me to move out?" She nodded, almost like she had not heard the edge in my voice. Then she shrugged and said, "It is time I had my space back." Her space. The house I saved. The home I paid for every month, every bill, every grocery run, every oil change and air filter and broken garbage disposal. The space she had not been able to keep when I moved back. 3 years ago, she had been on the brink, bills unopened on the kitchen table. Water heater leaking, power shut off twice. I came home thinking I could help, and I did, quietly, fully. I never asked her to split the mortgage, never asked her to thank me, never even corrected her when she told neighbors she was helping me get back on my feet. But now what? She wanted the space back, like I was a piece of clutter she had been meaning to get rid of. I looked at her, then really looked. Her hair was shorter than usual, her lipstick too dark. Her eyes never met mine. It was not anger I felt. Not yet. It was something colder. Recognition. She was not saying this out of nowhere. She had been thinking it, sitting with it, maybe even rehearsing it, and the fact that she chose now, Christmas dinner, when I had done everything I could to make the house feel warm again. That said more than I think she meant it to. She did not care how it landed, she just wanted it said, so I nodded. I did not protest, did not cry, did not ask when or why or how soon. I just folded my napkin, placed it on the plate, and stood up. Behind me, the candles flickered a little. No one reached out. No one followed. I walked to my room and shut the door, but I could not stop hearing it. Her voice, flat, final. You need to move out. And the echo behind it, louder than anything she had said. You do not belong here. I sat on the edge of the bed for a long time that night. Did not pack. Did not cry. Just sat. Hands folded in my lap like I was waiting for something, some knock on the door. Maybe. A voice asking if I was okay. Even just footsteps coming down the hall. But the only sound was the distant hum of the dishwasher and the faint clink of glass from the kitchen, like someone poured another drink. I stared at the bookshelf across from me. 3 years of quiet labor stacked up. Utility bills, cookbooks, a candle I bought for the guest bathroom and never lit. On the dresser, folded carefully, was the one thing I knew I would take, the quilt. My grandmother made it the year I turned 15. It was a patchwork of old family fabrics, my dad's flannel shirt, scraps from Mom's apron, even a square of Emily's baby blanket. She said it was a keeper of warmth. I had not slept under it in months, too afraid it would start to smell like a house that had stopped feeling like home. I stood and started gathering what I needed. Slowly, not with panic, not with grief, just motion. A small duffel bag, my laptop, chargers, the quilt, a framed photo of my dad taken the last Christmas we had together. I left the rest. Clothes in drawers, shoes by the door, the mug I always used in the morning with the tiny chip on the rim, left it all. I did not know where I would go yet, but I knew I could not stay. And that was the strangest part, how easy it felt to leave. Not because it did not hurt, but because the weight of staying had finally become heavier than the weight of the unknown. I slept in jeans that night on top of the covers, with my coat nearby and my bag zipped, just in case I changed my mind by morning. But I did not. The next day, while the house was still quiet, Mom asleep, blinds drawn, I walked out the front door and down the icy steps. No note, no explanation, no performance, just the quietest goodbye I could give. I caught a bus across town to Sarah's place, my friend from work, the one with too many throw pillows and a cat named Max who hates everyone. She let me in without asking why. I sank into her couch, quilt in my lap, coat still on, and stared at the ceiling like it might offer some clue for how I got here. Not physically, emotionally. How do you go from savior to stranger without anyone noticing? 3 days passed. No calls, no texts, no knock on the door. I kept my phone face down most of the time, not because I did not want to hear from her, but because I knew she would not reach out, and that silence was heavier than I expected. Sarah made space for me in her guest room, though I insisted the couch was fine. I was not planning to stay long, just long enough to breathe without apologizing for it. Then, one morning, while I was pouring coffee into a chipped mug that said, "World's okay, human," my phone buzzed, a message from Emily. "You will not believe what Mom has been telling people." That was all it said. I called her immediately. She picked up on the first ring, whispering like she did not want Mom to hear. "She is telling everyone you screamed at her," Emily said. "That you had some kind of breakdown at dinner and stormed out, slamming doors. She says you abandoned her on Christmas." I did not speak. I just listened. "She has already talked to Aunt Margaret, Uncle Tom, a few cousins. They think she is heartbroken, like you left her without warning after everything she has done for you." There was that line again. After everything she has done for you, as if keeping me alive 2 decades ago was a debt I was still meant to repay. Emily sighed. "Andrea, I know what happened. I was there. I just thought you should know what is going around." "Thanks," I said softly. "Really?" We hung up. I stood in Sarah's kitchen for a long time, the mug going cold in my hands. It was not the lie that hurt, most. It was how easily people believed it. By that evening, I had been removed from the family group chat. A cousin unfriended me on Facebook. One of Mom's church friends posted something vague about kids these days having no loyalty. I considered doing nothing, staying silent, rising above. But silence was what she counted on. So I did something else. I sat down, opened my laptop, and wrote. Not a rant, not a revenge piece, just the truth. I moved back in 3 years ago to help my mom keep the house. I paid the bills, the mortgage, and did what I could to make things stable again. On Christmas, I made dinner. I set the table, I lit the candles, and after the turkey was served, she looked at me and told me it was time I moved out. I did not yell. I did not slam anything. I just left because it was clear I was not welcome anymore. I am not posting this for pity. I am posting this because the version of me she is sharing is not real. I hit publish. Then I closed the laptop and walked away. Did not check the comments. Did not refresh the screen. Just sat by the window, quilt in my lap, watching the clouds roll in over the city. The truth was out there now, and whether anyone believed it, well, that part I did not control. But what happens when the lie is more convenient than the truth? I did not check my phone that night. I made a cup of tea, sat on the floor with Max the cat, curled against my leg, and let the quiet settle like dust in the corners of the room. There was a strange kind of peace in letting go of control. By morning, I woke to more notifications than I had seen in months. Texts, missed calls, emails, a few messages from people I had not spoken to since high school. I almost did not open any of them, but curiosity is a persistent thing. The first message I read was from Aunt Susan. She had always been the most reasonable of the extended bunch, the one who sent cards at odd times and once brought me a necklace with a tiny compass on it, just in case you need help finding your way. Her message said, "I had no idea. I am so sorry for believing otherwise. Your post, it changed how I see everything." I sat with that sentence for a long time. Then came a DM from my cousin Daniel. We had not spoken in years, but he wrote, "Honestly, we always wondered why your mom treated you the way she did. It just never made sense. It was validating. And somehow it hurt because if they saw it, if even part of them knew something was wrong, why had not anyone asked sooner? Why had not anyone reached out when I was still in that house, paying those bills, setting that table alone?" Not everyone responded. Some people stayed quiet. Others, I think, unfollowed me out of guilt or discomfort. A few left neutral face emojis under my post like they were not sure what to feel. And then there were the ones who doubled down. A message from Mom came in around noon. Not a call, just a wall of text. "I cannot believe you would humiliate me like this. You twisted everything. You are always the victim, Andrea. You always have been. No apology, no acknowledgement, just control reasserting itself." I did not reply. I did not even screenshot it for proof. I just stared at her words until the screen dimmed, then flipped the phone face down again. That was the thing no one tells you about finally speaking the truth. Even when people believe you, the damage is already done. You do not get the old version of your life back. You do not get the family photo back on the hallway wall. You just learn to live without it, and slowly you start deciding what to hang in its place. It happened on a Thursday. Gray sky, light drizzle, the kind of cold that settles into your sleeves no matter how tightly you wrap your coat. I had just come back from the grocery store, bag of lemons, coffee filters, and a loaf of sourdough I did not need but wanted. I was halfway up the stairs to Sarah's apartment when I saw her. My mother, standing at the top landing, holding a pie in a plastic bakery box, the kind with the crimped edges and barcode still stuck to the bottom. "Apple, of course," she smiled, like we were bumping into each other at the post office. "Hi, Andrea," she said, as if it had been days, not weeks. I did not move, just stood still, rain in my hair, bag in one hand, key in the other. She looked smaller than I remembered. Or maybe I was seeing her clearly for the first time. "I brought pie," she said, lifting it a little, like that explained everything. I walked the last few steps, unlocked the door, but did not open it fully. Just stepped outside and stood in the hallway. She did not ask to come in. Instead, she started talking. "I miss you," she said. "Things have not been the same without you. Maybe we could have dinner sometime, talk things through." I looked at her, then really looked. No tears, no apology, just a mother trying to reset the board without acknowledging the last move. "So," I asked, simple as I could, "are you here to apologize?" She blinked. Then, she said, like it was the most reasonable thing in the world, "I do not think I need to. I think we both made mistakes. That was her answer, her version of peace, her need to keep the story mutual, equal, safe. I nodded once, not in agreement, but in understanding. I wish you well, I said. Then I stepped back inside and closed the door. Did not slam it, did not raise my voice, just closed it because there was nothing else left to say. And more than that, I was not angry anymore. I was just done. Life did not change overnight, but it shifted little by little. I found a small studio apartment a few weeks after the door closed, just outside the city, tucked above a bookstore that always smelled like paper and peppermint. The space was old but clean. Wood floors, a crooked window that caught the afternoon sun, walls that did not echo with someone else's disappointment. I bought a couch secondhand from a woman named Ellen, who insisted on giving me a throw blanket just because. I set up a tiny table by the window, planted a pothos in an old ceramic bowl, and let it take its time finding the light. I drank my coffee slowly, without earbuds, without whispers through the wall, and for the first time in years, I did not feel like I had to explain why I was tired or quiet or not in the mood to talk. Silence no longer felt like punishment. It felt like peace. Sarah helped me move in. Max the cat came by once, hissed at the baseboard, and left. That felt right, too. Then one afternoon, my phone buzzed. Emily. She asked if I had time for coffee. We met at a small cafe downtown, the kind with chalkboard menus and mismatched chairs. She looked tired, older somehow, not in years, but in weight. After some small talk, she finally said, "Things got worse after you left. I did not ask for details." She gave them anyway. The mortgage was slipping behind. The power had been shut off once. Mom blamed the electric company, blamed the economy, blamed me. "She is spiraling," Emily said. "But I guess you knew that." I nodded. Then she looked straight at me. "You did the right thing by leaving," she said. "You should have done it sooner." I did not know how much I needed to hear that until I did. We sat in silence for a bit, shared a lemon bar, talked about nothing. Before we left, she added, "I am thinking of leaving too. Just need to figure out how." I reached for her hand and gave it a quiet squeeze. "I cannot pay your way," I said, "but I will not let you drown." And for the first time in a long time, we walked out of a place side by side. It has been a few months now. The pothos is still growing. The quilt stays folded at the foot of the bed, its corners soft from years of use. I have not washed it since I left. I do not think I will. It still smells like something I cannot name, but want to keep. I see Emily sometimes. We do not talk much about home, but we talk. She sends me photos of apartments she is thinking about, tiny kitchens, brick walls. One had yellow curtains and a view of nothing but. She smiled when she showed it to me. That was enough. I started baking again. Not often, just when it feels right. Apple pie once. Not for anyone, just to see if I remembered how. It burned a little around the edges, still tasted like something worth keeping. I have not taken down the post. People stopped talking about it weeks ago, but I leave it up. Not for them, for me. Because there is a difference between moving on and pretending it never happened. Mom has not reached out again. I do not expect her to. Sometimes I think about that pie she brought to my door. Still in the box, still cold. I never opened it. Some things do not need to be tasted to be understood, and some goodbyes do not need to be loud to last. She did not teach me how to stay. She taught me how to leave with grace. I learned that love doesn't always mean staying. Sometimes it's walking away, not out of anger, but to protect the quiet parts of yourself that no one else sees. I spent years trying to fix a home that wasn't mine, pouring effort into walls that didn't hold me back. Mom's words at Christmas taught me that gratitude isn't guaranteed even when you give everything. But the real lesson was in the leaving. It wasn't about running. It was about choosing myself when no one else did. The quilt, the silence, the small apartment, they became my anchors, not her approval. I learned truth doesn't need everyone's belief to stand. It just needs to be said. And family isn't always the people you save. It's the ones who see you when you're drowning and reach out, like Emily did. Most of all, I learned grace isn't loud apologies or grand gestures. It's closing a door softly, carrying your own weight, and letting go of what doesn't hold you. Life doesn't owe you closure, but it gives you space to build something new, one small, steady step at a time.